peace, was good? Welcome to Hip Hop Album Review Part 33. Let's get the show started. First song of the day is Doomsday Productions, XV, or 15, I should say. This was released in 1995. For those who don't know who Doomsday Production are, all my Brother Chunk fans would know about them. But for those who don't know who Doomsday Production are, they're a group from Las Vegas, Nevada. They got their start back in 1987, based on what I've read. Because I couldn't find too much information about them, but this is what I've gained upon. But they got their start in the late 80s, 87, like I said. They were known as Raiders of Doom. They got their notoriety. Throughout the whole Las Vegas region, whatnot. And then fast forward to 1993, they recorded this album. It was recorded, and the album was actually released in '94. The album, I guess, did well in the underground circuit, but then it became hard to find, and then they re-released this album back in 1999, so this is actually the re-released version. Doomsday Production, they do a lot of horrorcore. They're known for like horrorcore music and stuff like that. Doomsday Productions, they are affiliated with Brother Chung. They actually did an album together and things of that nature. If you're a fan of Brother Chung, you're a fan of horrorcore hip hop, you'll definitely enjoy this album. This album is dope. I like it a lot. It has a couple of filler tracks. And what I mean by that, like, not dance club songs, but like songs like, talk about girls, the typical fucking whole bunch of chicks, smoking weed and shit like that, you know what I mean? But, they use a lot of top 40, 80s samples, like a lot of 80s funk samples, stuff like that. And as well as like some dark beats as well. But this album was actually out of print. So if you can find this album, definitely cop this to fill up your hardcore collection. Like I said, I bought this album back in the day, like back in like 2003, back when these albums, even you couldn't find these in stores, but I had to order them from Barnes & Noble. So this is Doomsday Productions XV, released in 1994, I should say. Go copy, you can find it. Then we got Gangstar's third album, Daily Operation, released in 1992. Definitely, I already did a review of most of their albums. This is like the last time I have from them. I don't have full clip or like the mass appeal greatest hits because I kind of feel like there's no point in really having those. Although full clip has like a couple of B-side songs and stuff like that only came on like 12 inches and whatnot. But getting back to this album, this is released in '92. This is my second favorite Gangster album. I already told you my first favorite album from them is How to Earn. This album right here is a classic album in my opinion. I feel like this album gets very slept on. Very, very underrated in my opinion. Singles I was known for are X Girl the Next Girl, Take It Personal, and Too Deep, which was more of an underground single. This album definitely represents New York back in the early 90s when New York was grimy and gritty. It really, especially in Brooklyn, especially like in like East New York, Brownsville, like in those areas when Brooklyn was Brooklyn back in the day, you know what I mean? But definitely a classic album, definitely a must have in your collection. And what's interesting, I already explained this song like thousands of times, but the song I'm the Man, like I said before, it introduces Lil Dap from Group Home and Jay with the Damager. It was their first appearance on Wax, and they got their first, got their introduction to the world, you know what I mean? But this is Gangstar's Daily Operation, released in 1992. Oh, another thing too, the song Do It was also released in 1992, but You would think because that came out in '92, it would be on this album, but I believe that song "Do It" was released after the release of this album, so that's why it appeared on the Hard to Earn album. So all that helps too. Oh, another thing too, the song "Bust Your Shit" BYS number 14 was released on it was on Grand Theft Auto's San Andreas the game shit like that. So that's another trivia too as well. Go cop this. Oh, and sorry I keep with this album they kind of went political with it. You know, they kind of went talking about the hypocrisy of the government. They talked about a lot of black awareness, like pro-black rights, racism, and things of that nature. And that's it. This Gangster Daily Operation, released in 1992. Must have. Ice-T, you guys should know who he is. I did a review on his Freedom of Speech. The Freedom of Speech, Just Watch You Say album, and I did a review on his Home Invasion album. This is his this is his fourth album. This was released in 1991. Definitely one of my favorite albums from him. Like I said, this album, Freedom of Speech, and Home Invasion are my favorite albums from Ice-T. Definitely his dopest. A lot of people say this is his best album. I definitely agree with that. Definitely one of his best albums. The singles album is known for Mind Over Matter, New Jack Hustler, OG Original Gangster, Midnight, and Lifestyles of the Rich and Infamous, which they all have videos for. I post down links to the videos that weren't really popular as the first three that I mentioned. But this is definitely a dope album from Ice-T. If you're a fan of West Coast gangster hip hop, and what's interesting about this album, although he's a West Coast artist, it's definitely has more of an East Coast feel to it. You know, definitely. This album is actually out of print, so if you can find this album, definitely go cop this album. Around this time, and what's interesting with this album, this album actually introduces his rock group, or his death metal group, Body Count. And you know the controversy with them. They made a song called Cop Killer, you know, things of that nature. You know, that song had to get deleted off their self-titled album Body Count. If you could find that album with the original Cop Killer, I believe that's worth a lot of money. So if you could find that, you know, definitely go cop that shit. Definitely 1991. You know, he was also featured on he played the cop on New Jack City. Definitely a dope movie as well. Definitely his dopest album, one of his dopest albums. This Original Gangster, OG Original Gangster by Ice-T, released in 1981. Definitely must have in your collection if you can find it. Out of print. Then we got my man Saafir, Boxcar Sessions, released in 1984. For those who don't know who Saafir is, he's an MC from Oakland, California. He got his start back in the early 90s, 91 I should say. Excuse me. He got his start with he was affiliated with Digital Underground. He was a what was he? He was a dancer for them. He was one of the dancers for Digital Underground back in the day. You know, he was good friends with Tupac. Tupac would let him like sleep at his house and stuff like that. And then fast forward to like 92, 93, he also formed a group called the Hobo Junction. And you know, him and Casual would have like these freestyle battles and stuff like that as well. Him and Hobo Junction would also do they would battle with, like, the Hobo Junction would battle against the hieroglyphics, like the whole, you know, with Casual and the hieroglyphics crew and things of that nature. And you know, and there was controversy saying that that Saafir was like that Saafir was using like pre-written raps and stuff like that, and you know whether or not he was using like written raps and shit like that. You know, they're not sure about that, and like there was no decisions of where who won the battle. You know what I mean? It was a big controversy. On YouTube, there's clips of the YouTube battle. Of the battle back in the day. But and also in '93, he appeared on Menace to Society, that movie, with Terrell Turner that played Kane, and what's his name? And Old Dog, you know, and as well as too, Lawrence Tate that played Old Dog. You guys should know he played Harold, cousin Harold, Kane's cousin that got killed after the party, and you know, and in 1994 he released this album, his debut album. Singles I was known for Light Sleeper and Just Ridden, or Just Riding I should say. Definitely if you're a fan of Farside, you're a fan of Tribe, De La Soul, Diggable Planets, you would definitely enjoy this album. This is not your typical West Coast hip hop. You know, this is like using a lot of jazz samples. It's very jazzy, but it's boom bap at the same time. So if you enjoyed those groups, you would definitely enjoy this album. This is Saafir Boxcar Sessions, released in 1984. This album is actually out of print, so if you can find it, go cop this album. Next album is, let me see how much time I got left. We are good. Next album is Afro Body of the Life Force, released in 2000. For those who know who Afro is an MC from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. He got his start back in the early 90s, 94, just to say the least. His first appearance on Wax was on J. Rita Damage's The Sun Rises in the East, on the song Mental Stamina. Dope song. I did a review on his album, on that album, Sunrise in the East. I forgot which one I did it on. One of the reviews I did. I forgot which one, but it's in there. Go look for it if you want to check that out. And fast forward to 1996, he was featured on J. Rule's second album, Rap for the Math, which is another dope album, which I don't have in my collection. It's a little hard to find, but if I find it, I'll definitely will go copy, because I definitely do need it in my collection. And then throughout like 96, like 97, all the way up to like 98, he was featured on a lot of like other people's 12 inches, a lot of indie 12-inch singles and shit like that. And then in fast forward to 1998, he released his first single, World Went Through Cities, and that was his first single. And then in 1999, he released his second single, Defeat, which that has a video for. And then in 2000, he released this album. Pretty solid album. Afro, you know, he's affiliated with the Gangster Foundation, so you know he's part of that whole family. You know what I mean? I definitely feel like this is definitely an underrated album. A lot of people a lot of people think he's, you know, affiliated with you know, Wu-Tang because of like the, you know, the whole martial arts, because you know he does martial arts. He's known for like martial arts, and like he's a student of martial arts and like chess and stuff like that. And people automatically, you know, put him under Wu-Tang, but he's not a Wu affiliate. Like I said, he's part of the whole Gangster Foundation. You know what I mean? And you know, singles design was known for, like I said, Well Went Through Cities, which was like the first single, Defeat, Equality, and Big Act, Little Acts. Those are the 4 singles. To me, this is definitely a dope album. The rhymes, they're like kind of average to say the least, but he still could rhyme. You know what I mean? It's not like mind blowing lyrics, but like I said, if you're a fan of, you know, Gangster, if you're a fan of like I guess you could say Wu-Tang, but like I said, he's not affiliated with Wu-Tang. If you're a fan of like, you know, Gangster, you're a fan of Jerry the Damager, you would definitely enjoy this album. You know, he talks a little bit about the 5% Nation because, you know, he's Muslim and stuff like that, and, you know, things of that nature. Definitely a dope album. Body of the Lifestyle, released in 2000. Definitely must have in your collection. Then we got Doomsday Productions. Pray For Me, released in 1997. This was released, I guess 2 years after XV. Pray For Me. This album, the beats a lot more darker. It's a lot more professional, as of like instead of their first album. Their first album, the production was good, but like the beats were kind of like thin. Like the production, I guess the production that they had, like the production equipment they had, wasn't really that. It wasn't that, like the equipment, like the recording equipment they had weren't that good. But it seemed like with this album, it sounds more fuller, more rounder. It's more thick. You know what I mean? This is definitely a dope album. Like I said, if you're a fan of Brother LeChung, you're a fan of underground hardcore West Coast hip hop, you'll definitely enjoy this album. Definitely a dope album. Again, just like XV, this album was actually out of print. In fact, a lot of this stuff is very hard to come by. So if you can find this album, Pray For Me, definitely a dope album. Definitely dope. Pray For Me, released in 1997. Next album is P Rock and CL Smooth's first debut album, released in 1982, Mecca and Soul Brother. P Rock and CL Smooth, you guys should know who they are. You know, they got their start back in the early 90s. Back in 91, they released the EP called All Sold Out. You know, singles I was known for that album was Mecca and the Soul Brother, and The Creator, which was like the biggest single off the album. And then fast forward to 1992, they released this album. Definitely a classic album by many. A lot of people consider it their best album. I tend to disagree. I feel like their best album was Main Ingredient. A lot of people might agree with me, a lot of people might disagree with me, but that's just my opinion. But Mecca and the Soul Brother, this was released in 92. Singles I was known for is They Reminisce Over You. I told you about Trouble T. Roy, that was part of Heavy D's dancing group. He died in an accident. Well, that song, They Reminisce Over You, Troy, is a dedication to him. You know, it's like a tribute song to him. It's also a dope song to play, like, you know, when you know, it's a dope feel good song, you know what I mean? Straighten It Out was another single which they talk about, you know, where they talk about cats bootlegging their albums and shit like that, and Lots of Loving, which was like which was the single, which was like I guess the least successful song, but obviously They Reminisce Over You was you know, their most successful song and stuff like that. It's actually their most successful song. It's the most breakthrough single that they have out. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard this album, I liked it, but it kind of grew on me. Like I didn't really like the beats when I first heard them. But again, I bought this back in like 2003. But then listening to it years later, it made me. I listened to more and more, and I really started liking this album. And what's interesting is in 2010, Traffic Records or Traffic Entertainment, they re-released this album with and it comes with a fold-out poster, and it comes with a 20-page booklet. So for fans of P Rock, you guys, and CL Smooth would definitely enjoy that. This is the This is the OG copy, so you can find this album. I mean, it's not hard to find. So if you don't have the original copy, definitely go cop the CD box set of Mecca and the Soul Brother. This is Mecca and the Soul Brother by P Rock and CL Smooth, released in 1992. And then the last album is P Rock and CL Smooth's The Main Ingredient, released in 1994. in my opinion, this is their best album. In my opinion, this is definitely their most underrated album. It gets very slept on because a lot of people like to, they like to, they always talk about the main the Mecca and the Soul Brother, which I like the album, but like I said, I feel like this album, like in this album is like more, they kind of, sorry about that, they got more mature on the album. They talk about various issues, things of that nature. What's interesting is with the song what's the song? I think In the Flesh, number 14. There was an interview where P Rock was saying that he was making a beat in front of Biggie, which I thought was pretty dope. And Biggie was actually looking for a Pete Rock song that he wanted for his album, and that song was Juicy. But there's a Pete Rock version on YouTube that was supposed to be on the Ready to Die, but pretty much Pete Rock jacked the beat and made his own version, and that's why you have the Juicy song, the song that you guys know. But there is a Pete Rock version. But I feel like with this album, I like the production better. The production was like more mature. I like the beats that they were using. The beats they use a lot more, a lot more late '60s progressive rock, a lot of late '60s jazz and stuff like that. Singles this album was known for I Gotta Love, which I have a video for. Take You There and Searching. Searching was like the more. It was like the more. It was the underground singer, I should say. You know what I mean? Jay Dilla also cited this as his favorite album from them. Like I said, I feel like this is a better album from them. It's just like the beats were better in my opinion. Just like everything. He stepped his game up on the beats. P Rock stepped his game up on the beats. CL stepped his game up on the rhymes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The bass lines were ill. Things of that nature. You know what I mean? Like I said, definitely their most underrated album in my opinion. Definitely, and another thing too. Traffic, just like Mecca and the Soul Brother, re-released this album I think earlier this month or last month, and it's the same thing. Although I don't think it comes with a poster, but it does come with 20 booklet too, explaining I guess like the making of the album and stuff like that. Like I said, this is the OG copy. I actually bought this album before Mecca and the Soul Brother, so that's probably why I'm kind of biased with this album. But this is actually one of my all-time favorite albums of all time. I might do a review. I might do like a top 25 albums of all time. I might do that. I'm not sure. I'm gonna work on that. You know what I mean? But stay tuned for that. I might do a top 30. I don't know. It depends. I just gotta like really sit through the albums, check and see what albums really, things of that nature. And I'll do like a brief explanation why I like those albums and stuff like that. But that's it. That's it for Hip Hop Review Part 33. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.